What up, what up, what up, Phantomorphs? Welcome to the ABC, or the Animorphs Book Club for long. I could probably hold that for longer if I wanted to. My name is Jenny.
My name is Brynne. Welcome to the Animorphs Book Club.
You seem very shocked by my skills, Brynne.
I am shocked by your skills. They're impressive skills.
Thank you. I worked really hard.
I know you do.
I try so hard. Anyway, this is a podcast and a book club where we read all the Animorphs books, because we've never read them, and we talk about them. And stuff.
Yeah, we have funky discussions about morality and genocide and John Malkovich occasionally. And
we've mostly talked about John Malkovich. We've only got 3 episodes, and I would say that like 50% of that content has been John Malkovich. I really like John Malkovich. Anyway, so this week we read book 3, which is The Encounter. Ooh. What are your before we get into it? What are your thoughts on this one, Brynne?
Okay, here are my thoughts. My thoughts are that there wasn't a lot of plot in this book. My also thoughts are that I remember last episode. Shut up. As you can tell, I don't have many thoughts. Head empty. Last episode, we predicted that I thought it was going to be Marco narrating this book.
I did too. I was not expecting Tobias.
Yeah, I thought Marco was the one on the cover, but I was pleasantly surprised with the Tobias situation, because I was like, what's going on in his bird brain? What's happening in this man's funky little head?
I think it was very... maybe it was because... One sec, I gotta pull up the cover. I think because on the cover, he does not have curly blonde hair. And Tobias has been described as having curly blonde hair.
Indeed. So yeah, that confused me.
I agree with you. I don't think that there was much plot happening in this one. It was mostly just a character study of Tobias. And I don't think that that's like I don't dislike that, but I do prefer it when things happen in my books.
I do too. I felt like a lot of this book was on one hand filler, but also like filler episodes can serve a different episodes. Portions, chapters of the book can serve as a different purpose. I did like that we got to like see what is happening to Tobias psychologically, because it's freaky. There were also some like really disturbing scenes.
There were some disturbing scenes, and we will get to them. But, yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's because I felt like the last book was also kind of a character study of Rachel, but there was still a lot happening. Like, we learned a lot. But in this one, we don't learn as much. And I don't know. I'm
wondering maybe if the first couple of books, like each book, like the first book that each character narrates might be a character study just to get to know them a little bit better. That would make sense. Except for the book 1, because Jake is a dry piece of toast and also an everyman. So like there was a lot of character to study.
Toast piece. I'm sorry if you're listening to this and Jake is your favorite character, we constantly roast him for being boring. I'm sorry. We love Jake.
It's truly
He's just a little boring.
He's just a little boring, and everyone's in love with him. I don't really know why.
I don't get why is he the leader? Don't understand.
I don't know, but that's okay.
Let's get into the actual book.
Wait, yeah, let's leave Jake alone for the moment.
Yes.
Maybe.
All right.
Okay, go ahead.
So,
start us off, Jenny.
The Encounter. So, as we just mentioned, this is from Tobias's perspective, which is interesting for a couple of reasons. For one, like we talked about last time, we weren't sure if they were going to have Tobias narrate these books, because it always seemed like they were coming from the end of, like, their journey. At least, like they were in pretty dire straits.
And you thought Tobias was going to die.
We thought they were going to die. And all of the other books felt like they were in the future. But this book sort of implies that they've all kind of been, like, in media res. Like, they've all been from the present. Because Tobias is narrating this not as a boy or not as Allbird. He's just he's describing this as he is right now. So, have all of these books been from the present? Because they certainly didn't feel like it.
I have no idea. I mean, it could be that this is still being narrated from the perspective of later on in this series, and just Tobias is still a bird. Like,
that's true.
I don't know. They might be in media res later in the series, and eventually we'll catch up to them, and then they'll start being in present tense.
That does make sense.
Because I don't see Tobias being magically changed back into a human anytime soon. I think that his psychology of being a bird is going to be explored for a little bit longer. So it could be that we're just still catching up to the narrators where they are in this point.
That would make sense. Yeah. So Tobias, in this first page, he tells us what he looked like. And this is another thing that makes it feel like it's coming from the present, because he remembers what he looks like right now, but later on in the book, he says that he can't remember anything.
That's true.
And if he was coming from the future, then he would immediately already say, I can't remember a damn thing. So, I don't know. That's not what Tobias sounds like. He's not a cowboy. I wish he was.
You want everyone to be a cowboy.
I do. I want everyone to be a cowboy. I love cowboys. I want everyone to be a rodeo clown.
A clown or a cowboy or a clown boy?
Those are the two genders. Clown or cowboy.
I think I'm a cowboy.
And I'm a clown. Glad we've come to an agreement.
Yeah.
This is true equality. So, we're getting into the actual plot now. The book begins with Rachel and Tobias gonna go free a hawk from being captive in a commercial. This did feel a little je ne sais quoi stupid. Como se dice stupid? This is such a stupid decision, and I get why Rachel would do it. And Tobias, I don't know, he's going through like a crisis, so I get it.
I understand, but so basically, Rachel and Tobias go to like this site where a car dealership is doing an infomercial, with this live hawk in a cage as their mascot, and he's like, "This disgusts me. This sickens me," and then they jailbreak this bird, and then and then beat up all of the technicians and the person who's in the commercial.
And so Rachel turns into Rachel is an elephant.
Right, she's an elephant, which is massively
That's
stupid.
the dumb part. Because I would get.
She could have turned into literally anything else.
Like anything. A doggy.
I don't remember her other.
A wolf.
Yeah, anything else, but an elephant.
No, girl, no. Turn into a cat. Do a scratchy.
Scratch.
If it was just Tobias freeing the bird, I would get that. But I don't. Why is Rachel an elephant?
Because she's just a daredevil. I think she just likes the elephant morph. I think she just likes being big and powerful.
I think she does, because I think she has this weird, kind of bloodlust.
I'm gonna be honest, I completely understand. I don't fall her for
me too.
That.
I'm not gonna lie. But it's also still really stupid. It's really dumb.
Absolutely.
But anyway, we get introduced also to this female hawk who ends up being more of a deal later on. She also ends up dying. Whoops. And also, one of the worst sentences in the book. I feel like for each book, I need to find the worst sentence in the book.
Please do.
For the worst one of this one is, the ropey tail was sucked up like a piece of spaghetti. Not good. Not good. Don't like that.
Why? Why? I'm sorry. Whenever you choose the worst sentence in the book, it always has to do with some sort of tail.
I don't like it. It's because it's always like the tail is either sucked or slurped or slooped up. They also use the word sloop in this passage. I hate it so much. It's gross. I get why it's gross, because morphing is nasty. I hate it. I know, I'm a hypocrite.
Aren't we all on some level? Okay.
Fucking shit.
Anyway, so they meet up with the gang. They meet up with the gang, the Animorph, the squad.
Tobias, by the way, also it's obvious it has a huge crush on Rachel. It's clear.
Oh, yes.
Which is, I didn't want that to happen, but it's whatever, I guess. We know last week I talked about how I didn't want that to happen, but
I know.
You can only wish for so much from a series from the 90s. Sorry.
It's true. If this was written now, I'm sure it would be different.
Probably.
But it's also, okay. It is what it
is. There's this sentence that Tobias has where he says, "It's a great gift, a great curse," in reference to the morphing. And I was like, yes, they did it. Because I said last week how, I want morphing to be seen as more of, a morally gray thing.
Mm-hmm.
And they do it. And also we learn that the main conflict of this book is pretty much, should Tobias be bird or boy?
Yeah.
And that's it.
That's it. That's okay. I'm sure we'll get some action in the next one. And we did get a little action towards the end.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, okay. So they meet up with the gang, with the kids, and they get yelled at, rightfully so. I loved right before they met up with the rest of them, Tobias was like, "I bet you Marco's first words are going to be, 'Are you insane?'" And then it just cuts to Marco yelling, "Are you insane?"
I love that. That's one of my favorite tropes. I love that so much.
Absolutely.
There's also this line in this part. Well, first of all, I completely agree with Marco, as I usually do. Marco might be the smartest person in this fucking group. But there's this line that Tobias has where he's like, "Marco and I will probably never get along." And I wrote, foreshadowing for when they do get along.
I mean,
I'm so sorry.
No, you're not. The foreshadowing
you're right.
This series is bonkers. There's so much of it. I keep using that word, bonkers. It's
a fun word.
Right, it is fun.
Especially with Z on the end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Marco and Tobias, came to some sort of begrudging understanding and respect for one another through, the traumatic events that they have yet to be exposed to. I wouldn't be surprised if they do get along later and become, begrudging friends.
Yeah. I'm so sorry if you just heard me burp. I'm so sorry.
I didn't.
Good. Then forget I said anything.
Okay. Anyway, so Marco yells at them for a while. And then Tobias goes through kind of a description of everybody except for Cassie, really. Mostly Rachel and Jake. He just talks about them in his brain for a while.
Well, I guess those are the two that he's closest to.
That's true, because he's good friends with Jake, and he has kind of a crush on Rachel, and he's her
Not
friend.
even kind of.
Yeah, I mean, but Rachel and Tobias are friends, so this would make sense.
They're
very similar. So
yeah. But Tobias ends up he leaves, the meeting disbands, and Tobias flies up and he sees a big ass. He goes to the mountains, he sees a big ass Yerk ship, and this is where the actual plot of the episode starts. like the things that happen. And it is a very big ship.
A very big ship. Good job.
Very big. It's like they describe it as a, what's the word?
Like a manta ray. Yeah. And then, it was interesting. He immediately recognized it as a Yeerk ship, not an Andalite ship or anything else, which I think is interesting.
I don't know. I didn't catch that, but I guess you're right. I don't know how he would know that.
Maybe because remember when the Andalite like shoved all the information into his brain?
I guess so. Yeah.
He was dying. He'd been like, I can recognize that.
That's probably true. But also, I know that the kids keep talking about, like, when the Andalites come back, then we'll be safe. But I feel like there is this, like, undercurrent of, like, all the Andalites are gone. So it would only be, like, right to assume that since all the Andalites are gone, this is a Yeerk ship. It has to be.
Yeah, for sure. I think they keep talking about, like, when the Andalites come back just as, like, a delusion. Like, they're deluding themselves into thinking that the Andalites will come back just for their own, like, peace of mind, because they're not ready to, like, give up that hope yet, which is completely understandable.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be ready to abandon that hope either.
But especially, I think it's relevant because, like, these are, like, basically they're child soldiers now. So they're, of course, like, going to wait for someone else to do this, which is the right thing to do. Children should not be involved in this at all. Even if they are probably, like, 14. Like, they still shouldn't be doing this. Like, they shouldn't be. And so all of this, like, talk of, like, hope for the Andalites is because they are, you know, they just don't want to be in this war anymore. Even the ones who enjoy, like, fighting, like Rachel or even Cassie, they don't want to do it. It's not something they should be doing. It's clearly harming them. Like, they almost die, like, 7 times in this book alone.
Yeah, absolutely. And each book, I think they make clear how ready they are to die for this cause, even though they want nothing to do with it. Which is frankly tragic. This book in particular was just so sad. It
was really sad.
Just even the first chapter, and then at the end of chapter 3, Tobias has this line at the very end where he said, all they saw was that I had no home, but they didn't really understand. I hadn't had a real home since my parents died. I was used to being alone, and I had this guy. That is heartbreaking. That is so crushing.
It's very sad.
A child say that? That's terrible.
This poor kid.
These poor
kids, man, but also especially Tobias in this book. But the kids have another meeting to talk about it, and Marco says some pretty terrible things, I will admit. Some, like, truly not a nice things to say, but I will say this.
Very insensitive, which,
I will say this. Although Marco is wrong for, like, saying that, like, it was, like, a stupid, mindless decision to, like, free the bird, it kind of was just a bird, and there's more important things to worry about, like the safety of the crew that happens when you freely and openly, like, morph like that, you know? I'm not trying to super defend Marco in this passage, because I think he's kind of a dick, but, like, he has points. Like, I think he says in this part that he says, like, how many more times will we fucking die? Until it's enough. And I don't know. I can't wait for the Marco book because I just love this guy. He's so interesting.
I know you do. I can't wait either. I think that'll be the next book.
It's either him or Cassie.
Well, let's see. Let's look at the covers here.
Because the white kid's got to go first. I'm kidding. That was a joke.
It's Cassie next. And then it's Marco after that.
God damn it.
I know, I'm sorry. But I love Cassie. I can't wait for her.
Oh, same. I love Cassie. She's super interesting. I want to learn more about her.
She's just as fascinating as Marco. I think also underrated, personally.
I do think Cassie is underrated.
Just because she doesn't talk as much.
Yeah, but the things she does say are typically raw as fuck.
They are raw as fuck.
I love this fucking hippie. She's wonderful.
She has the best lines. Like, hands down, best lines. Best wisdom, too.
Oh, yeah. So, she's got, like, a very high wisdom.
Yeah.
So the kids decide to morph into wolves. And they're gonna get closer to the Yeerk ship. And they piss a lot.
Only Jake pisses a lot because he and Marco
marking
were, like,
his territory.
having a fight about who could be the alpha wolf. Marco was, like, having a hissy fit because he had to be a girl wolf.
It's really
Poor guy.
funny.
It was hilarious. And then so let's back it up here. They morph into wolves because they decide to go on a mission to the mountains to see, like, what the Yeerk ship is up to, because they realize that it's probably docking in the mountain somewhere. And it's like a 20-mile hike, and they can't fly because that'll be too obvious. So there's some injured wolves in Cassie's barn thing, and they acquire their DNA, and then they, like, make a trek up into the mountains, and Jake pisses on everything, as one does.
Wait a minute.
What?
Why can an animal only get one morpher? Because why couldn't they all... Because how are they getting the rest of the wolves if there's only 2 injured ones?
Because so 3 of them acquired the DNA of the female wolf, and then Jake acquired the DNA of the male wolf. Because Cassie said for some reason there can only be 1 male in a pack, or else they would fight for dominance.
Oh, okay. Oh, right. And they had that talk about, like you and Jake and Marco already fight, and they're normal guys. Right. I remember. There's a lot of details in this book.
Yeah, there's a lot of fun animal facts and details in this book that I don't remember most of.
So yeah, anyway. Piss a lot. Tobias flies around, looking for stuff. Doing his bird thing. And then they come across
a lake where the Yeerk ship is docking and then, like, funneling up water from the lake and catching in air from the air. And then bringing it back to the Yeerk mothership in the atmosphere.
They are thirsty.
Let's talk about this. Let's unpack this.
Let's unpack this.
What did we learn?
We do learn something. We do learn some things in this book.
It's so now we know that the Yeerks have to come from some sort of a planet like ours because they require the oxygen in the air and water, and they can't manufacture it on their own ship.
Yes.
Which means that they have weaknesses, and it also means that they must have similar weaknesses to animals on our planet, which is valuable information.
I think that is one theory, but I was also thinking that I feel like the Yeerks' biology completely changes, and their biological needs completely change depending on what they are occupying.
Oh, that makes sense. I feel like
that would be the case. So if, say, you have a controller who's a human, like if you have Chapman in the ship, and you take him to the Yeerk homeworld, he's going to need food and water and oxygen if he's going to survive, because otherwise the host will just die. So
this makes sense. Either way, they have a weakness.
Either way, they do have a weakness, and that is pretty important. But yeah, I think it's interesting, and I think we're gonna. I don't know what I don't really know what the book is implying as to why the Yeerks need food or need water and oxygen.
Yeah, it was not explained.
So we're probably going to learn in later books why exactly they need it.
Oh yeah, and the Yeerk ship has like a cloaking device that means they're invisible to eyes and radar, which is important. That's how they like get around without being detected. Which is important for plot reasons, not necessarily like large scale plot reasons.
Right.
But yeah, so the kids know this and they're like, ooh, let's blow that up and then everyone will see it. We won't be alone anymore.
To blow it up. But Tobias meanwhile, almost flies away with the bird lady, like as a hawk. And he's like, no, gotta go back. And then, the kids are stuck in a stalemate with the same pack that tried to murder Tobias, 5 minutes ago.
And then Jake, no, not Jake, Tobias, they're arguing over what, a rabbit? And Tobias, swoops down and grabs a rabbit, and he's, dragging it on the ground as all these wolves are chasing him.
It's so funny.
It's funny. It's terrifying, but it's funny. And then Tobias realizes that they've been in the moor for too long. It's been over 2 hours.
This was terrible.
This was terrifying and grotesque. And
the kids almost get fucking stuck. Reading this dealt me 2d6 psychic damage. I hated every second of it. It was the worst. It was one of the top 10 worst passages in these books so far. The fact that they're just screaming half dog people. Ugh.
Yeah, didn't he say Marco's or Rachel's hands came out where her feet
Rachel's hands came out of her legs. Oh, and Marco was just glaring at Tobias the whole time. His eyes are rolling back in his head.
A human head and a wolf body. That's
terrible. It's so bad. It's so bad.
It was disgusting. And then they had to literally crawl out of the morph back into their human bodies.
Yeah, it was bad. And Tobias also has a bad time, and he has kind of a bit of a crisis. As he is wont to do, he has a bit of a crisis. The kids decide to... No, what were you going to say?
No, go ahead.
Oh, okay. The kids decide they're going to meet up, and like he said, they're going to lead the Yeerk ship to the middle of town where everyone can see it, and finally these kids cannot have to fight this war. And this is a good plan. This is a really good plan. I want to get these kids out of war.
It is a good plan. It was also, I have to admit, a half-baked plan, but they are kids. I had several questions. Once they get out, because their plan is to, get sucked up through the water tube as fishes, and then morph into themselves once they're inside the ship, and then, turn off the cloaking device and fly it into the middle of town. I'm okay, I have several questions. First of all, how do you know your way around? Second of all, how do you know what to turn off when you get inside the ship? Third of all, how are you going to defend yourself? You have no weapons. Third of all, this is fifth of all. No, fourth. Anyway, how are you going to get back down? I have several questions, but they were just going to figure that out, which is.
I agree.
Fine.
That is we're just gonna figure it out. It's an alien ship. I don't know what you kids are thinking. I couldn't get into a plane and fly it. How do you think you're gonna get into a alien manta ray space truck and fly it in the middle of the town? I don't understand.
The unearned confidence of preteens never ceases.
Oh God, yeah.
I appreciate it.
And Tobias, before the plan happens, he finds himself flying outside alone. He's still having a crisis. He's always having a crisis. This book is just Tobias. This book should be not called The Encounter. It should be called The Crisis. Or just Tobias has a crisis. And he lets his bird brain go. And he kills a rat.
Submits to the bird brain and accidentally kills and eats a rat, and then
he hates it
and hates it, but also likes it, hates that he likes it. And then has a panic attack and flies into the mall where Rachel is doing a gymnastics routine, which why she was in the mall doing that, I don't know.
I don't question it.
Anyway, and he crashes into her and is freaking out, and then she lets him go because she thinks he's injured, and people are trying to grab him, and then he flies up into the ceiling, into the skylight, because the bird brain's sky, but his human brain's I'm gonna die, that's fine, I guess. And he's not stopping, and then Marco, thank God for Marco.
Marco is a bro.
Marco's a real one. He throws what is it, a baseball? And shatters all the glass so that Tobias won't die. And Tobias is like, oh, damn, I'm alive. And then he like flies around completely submitting to his bird brain.
For the next few days, he has a bad time. A real bad time. However, and I'll talk about this more at the end, a lot of these descriptions sounded a lot like gender dysphoria to me. As a metaphor. Ooh. And I'll get into that later. But
we're getting into that later.
Yeah, at the end, because I have a lot to say about it.
Okay. I can't wait. I can't wait for you to say
it. But that's what it sounded like to me. But Tobias, he almost gets caught by a Hork-Bajir.
No, he doesn't get caught. He
slashes the eyes.
Yeah, because the Hork... Is it Hork-Bajir or Hork-Bajar?
Hork-Bajir.
Okay.
I think.
Our alien friend was attempting to do a murder to kill this like camper in the woods, and then Tobias like comes to in his human brain and is like, I can't let this happen. So he slashes out the eyes of the Hork-Bajir and then flies away, and he almost dies again. Almost gets caught.
But he goes to visit Rachel because he's freaking out, she's freaking out, everyone's freaking out. And Rachel has this line that I thought was really interesting, and it's, the Yeerks and their slaves aren't killing to eat. They're killing to control and dominate. Killing because you want power or control is evil. And I thought that was very interesting. I don't know if it's true, because this is Rachel's perspective, and she does not like Yeerk. I'm not every time I say something about this, I feel like people are going to think I'm defending Yeerks, and I'm not. But all I'm saying is that we don't know.
Yeah, we don't know enough about the Yeerks to like come to any conclusions about them.
Yeah,
which sucks.
And it seems like Yeerks. This is not so much about the killing thing as it is about the like controlling thing. I feel like Yeerks kind of have to control a host, otherwise you can't do much as a worm.
It's true.
It's not even just that you'll die. They'll probably live, but you can't do anything. You're a worm. And I feel like this would not be as bad as if they were like, oh God, what's the alien species that's in DS9? We talked about it the first episode.
Oh, whatever Dax is.
Whatever Dax is. It's not like they're...
I don't remember.
Actually, one sec. I'm looking this up. Dax species. Trill.
A trill. Yes. That's what it is.
It's not like they're trill, where, like, it's an agreed upon thing. They just choose to do it. And, I think that the Yeerks would be a lot more defensible if they were like Trill. But they're not. So, that's what we got. I just thought that was interesting.
No, that is interesting. I don't know. I don't have answers. It just sucks.
Neither do I.
Okay. Okay. So Rachel like talks to Tobias, gets some sense to him. They have a heart-to-heart moment, where she's like, she insists that he is human on the inside, and that's all that matters. Which I thought was very touching, especially since Rachel is not an emotional person. I don't know. I liked seeing that side of her a little bit. Anyway, so they formulate this plan to go back to the lake. This time not as wolves, but as
fishies.
And so
this seems very stressful.
Go and they like, but this like the last 5 chapters were extremely stressful for me.
That's where things got really crazy.
Yeah,
as is wont to happen in these books.
So, so they like hike however many miles to a bear cave near the lake, and then they like camp out overnight, and they try to go fishing. And Cassie's the only one that catches anything, because she's the only one that's competent at anything. And they acquired the DNA of this fish, and the plan was that they would like go down to the lake and then morph into the fish while they're in the water so they don't, die.
It doesn't work like that.
But that doesn't work because the Yeerks and the Hork-Bajir and the Taxons are like already there. So they got to retreat to the cave. And then whose brilliant idea was this, that they would morph into fish in the cave?
It was Tobias.
Of course it was.
I think it was Tobias.
Of course it was. My mentally ill man. They would like
my king of mental illness.
Morph into fishes, and then Tobias would like snatch him up and just like drop him in the lake, just freestyle.
Yeah. Also, Visser 3 is here, by the way. He's everywhere. He keeps popping up. I gotta say though, they're trying not to be. They're trying not to be suspicious and stuff, and I get that. But doesn't it seem suspicious for the same hawk to carry like 4 fishies into a river?
Yeah, no, absolutely it does. Absolutely.
It's really dumb.
This is what I mean when this plan was half-baked. I have several questions. They could have thought this through more, but they didn't. And it shows. Anyway.
Ooh.
So,
but it works. What? I think Cassie morphs first because she's the best.
It is easily disturbing. I mean, it's disturbing.
It's always gross. I think we just have to accept that morphing is never going to be cool.
It's never going to be cool, and I understand that, and I respect that, but, like, this fish morph was particularly grotesque. Like, just
it's not fun.
The description of, like, Cassie's skin, like, turning hard like cement and then, like, breaking apart into scales all at once, and then, like, her like, legs becoming a tail and her eyes, like, getting bigger and then moving to the side
that
of her
was
head.
I didn't like that. The eye part I didn't like.
Flopping on the ground, like, half human, half fish, and shrinking, and she's, like, a gray humanoid. That's just disgusting.
Have you ever seen...
And she starts to suffocate.
Like, as you do, have you ever seen that YouTube video of, like, the reverse mermaid singing Part of Your World? Oh, I need to send that to you. It's a comedy routine where a reverse mermaid, which is a person with the upper body of a fish and the lower body of a person. So it's a fish head with legs. And I don't know why, but I kept laughing during this part because I just kept imagining them as being reverse mermaids. Oh, no. It's really funny to me.
That's disgusting.
It is gross, but it's really funny. But the plan somehow works, kind of, and the kids get sucked into the pipe.
Sucked up in the space straw.
Like Augustus Gloop.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. But then...
The disappointment on your face was so palpable. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Next, going on.
Yeah. If you're listening to this, just know that when we record, we have like a FaceTime going as well.
I can see Brynne's face.
Jenny can see every disappointed glance, every frown, every just my general disamusement with her.
That's not even a word.
You know what it is now? It is now. You're welcome.
But yeah.
They
gloop up the pipe.
They gloop up the pipe. And
sorry. I'm very tickled by the use of the word gloop like a verb.
Yeah, you should
in reference to Augustus Gloop. They gloop up the pipe. I can't think. Okay. We gotta get this serious. We're almost done.
They run into problems when they're actually like in the water tank in the ship.
Because I don't know what they were expecting.
I don't know either. They morph back, but the grate to like get up into the ship is locked. So they're all human, and the water is rising, and they cannot breathe. And then Rachel is the last one to morph, and she's having a thought speech with Tobias. And there's this line where he's like, Rachel, I just want you to know. And she was like, I know. And then morphs back into a human, and they can't talk anymore. And I was like, whoa.
That's so sad.
Let's back it up. let's go back. What was that?
Back it up now, y'all. But I think that this part is very relevant to what you were just saying and what you were saying last week with how these kids are so ready to die. They're so like fully deciding to self-sacrifice to blow up the ship. Somehow, I don't know.
However they do it.
In the end, Tobias does it, but.
Yeah, I mean, but like, yeah, just how ready they are to die for each other, and how they all can acknowledge that they like love each other so much that they're ready to die for each other. It's very sad. On one hand, I'm like, you and I are Gen Z. We know what it is to like be like, yeah, death, whatever. But this is different. this is like a tragic kind of self-sacrifice.
Fucking Zoomers.
This isn't just nihilism. This is like straight up tragedy.
Yeah, but it all works out in the end. Yay, victory!
Tobias like steals a laser blaster,
steals a gun,
and fuck shit up.
And Visser 3 is still there. And
still there. He's not really doing anything. He's just
there. He's just yelling at the end. He's just yelling at Tobias. He's like, "Hey, Andalite. Come on out.
Come here. Come here. Talk to me. Yeah.
Talk to me, buddy." Like, I don't know. Visser 3, here's the thing. Visser 3 might be my favorite character because I love a villain. But, like...
Me too. I love a good villain.
They can't keep using him because he's losing, like, the threat level. Like, when he first shows up, he's really threatening. And he's even really threatening in book 2. But he doesn't even do anything in this one. He just shows up to look menacing and then leaves.
They need to save it. Build to it.
They need to let it marinate. Let it marinate. Put that pork in a bag. Put some lemon juice in there, some lime juice, maybe some cilantro, some olive oil.
Jennie.
Let it marinate. I'm making a taco.
Jennie.
Yeah.
Jennie.
Yeah.
Firstly, that would not be like a great pork marinade. I would recommend that for chicken or steak. Secondly, I'm like, it would be fine. It's not personally what I would do. Like, you need some sort of salt. You need some pepper, maybe some red pepper.
I meant skirt steak.
Sure.
I said pork, but I meant skirt steak.
All right. Secondly, shut up.
Stop talking. No, I will never stop. We have a podcast. How can you have a podcast with me and tell me not to talk?
No, I just enjoy telling you to shut up, as I do in real life as well. Yeah.
That's true.
Anyway.
But victory! They win!
Visser 3, he's losing his spookiness. He's losing his...
Je ne sais quoi.
Je ne sais quoi. Spooky. I don't know.
But the kids are safe. They morph to safety.
As birds. This as birds, because like Tobias takes the laser gun and in his little hawk claws, like.
Did you just say cock claws?
I said hawk.
Okay. I was like, oh no.
I'm gonna kill you. He takes this laser gun and like blasts open the side of the ship, and all the kids fall out. And here's my question: did Visser 3 see all of the kids fall out of the ship before they morphed into birds at the last second?
I wrote that down too.
Does he know that they're humans?
I don't know. He doesn't say anything. We don't hear anything from him.
Maybe in the next book. I don't know.
I don't know.
It's terrifying to think about.
It is terrifying to think about, but...
They morph into birds, like, seconds before they hit the tree line. Mm-hmm. Like, they were about to die. But then they all morph into birds, and generally they're fine.
I thought that was relevant, though, that they morphed into birds. Because, like, Tobias is a bird, and the book starts with... Like, oh, we can't be birds because that's all too, like, suspicious.
Mm-hmm.
And then it ends with them being birds. I was like, oh, yeah, that's nice.
Okay, but here's the thing. At the end of the book, though, they had accomplished something. Even though they didn't, like, expose it to the world, they did destroy that Yerk truck.
They did.
And a bug fighter.
Well,
and
Tobias
they were alive.
did.
Well, Tobias did. The rest almost died, but Tobias did most of the work. So they did accomplish some things, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
And
the book ends with Tobias deciding that he is not just a boy or just a bird. He is a boy and a bird. And I thought that was really nice.
Yeah, the book ended a lot less sad than I expected it to, which was a pleasant surprise.
Yeah. However, I will say that the last... What is the last line of the book? It did make me laugh because it was a little bit cheesy. But it's, be happy for me and for all who fly free.
Just because it rhymes doesn't mean it's cheesy.
It's a little cheesy. It is a
little Dr. Seuss, but you know what? It was good.
It's not just that it rhymes. I don't know. It seems like a tattoo. Like you get it in like typescript on your wrist.
Oh, yeah, right next to like a feather.
An infinity sign.
An infinity sign. Sorry, we're just making fun of millennials at this point.
I'm just making fun of white women.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry. But yeah, that's the book.
So that's book 3.
Oh, also the bird hawk lady dies. Sad.
Oh yeah, the bird hawk dies because they look like she and Tobias looked exactly the same. So
that's the thing is they were hunting every hawk.
Yeah.
Which is sad.
Just killing them all just to get to him.
Mm.
So she dies, and he's sad about it, which is important because when he's sad about it, he realizes that a hawk wouldn't have those emotions of sadness and like remorse. So he's like, okay, if I can still feel sadness and all of those varying emotions, then I'm still human on the inside because a hawk wouldn't have those feelings, which I think is important for him to recognize.
Yeah, I really liked that. It's like Descartes. It's like I think, therefore I am. I have feeling, therefore I am boy, human, bird.
Yes.
Thank you. I took intro to philosophy. But yeah, that's it. And this one is definitely felt shorter. I mean, this episode is already significantly shorter than it usually is.
That is true. However, this had more chapters than any of the other books. Even though it felt shorter. Which was
felt
odd.
like less happened.
It did, yeah. I mean, the other book, there was so much to unpack. I mean, especially like the last book, it feels like 3 books. I mean, there was so much to unpack there.
There's a lot to go through. Like, almost 2 hours worth of stuff to go through. We commend you if you listen to that all the way through, by the way.
Yeah, good job.
But this book, even though it was longer, it really did feel like not as much happened in terms of, like, plot. And that would be my one draw for it, is I think it's possible to have, like, in-depth character study, like, how we get in this book, while also having stuff happen.
Yeah. I agree. I think one of the best ways, actually, to do a character study is to put them in different situations and see how they would react, rather than just, like, existing in their brain, just sitting there hoping that they have interesting thoughts.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
but
what were you saying earlier? Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to talk about the gender stuff.
Fantastic. Go ahead.
But this is relevant because last week we talked about how, like, Tobias isn't really a gender because he's a bird, right?
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
What?
Nothing, go ahead.
Oh, okay. But I was just pointing out how, like, various descriptions of Tobias, like there's this part where he's like, I want to stretch out my hands, but I can't because I just have claws. Tobias's self-perception of himself is completely different from how everyone else in the world perceives him to be. So I don't know, that just reminded me not just of gender dysphoria, but like dysmorphia in general, and also like the conflict between like the self and like the persona, like what you think you are versus what other people see.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just thought that was super interesting. I don't think it was intentional. I honestly don't. But if it was, it'd be really dope. But even if it's not, I still think that it's really relevant. And I thought it was just something I noticed.
Absolutely. I hope we get to explore this a little bit more, not just with Tobias, but also with the rest of the Animorphs. Because, I don't know, for me, morphing into different animals and, I don't know, I feel like that would have a tremendous impact on the sense of self and how you would perceive yourself, as opposed to how other people perceive you. And I hope that we get to see that explored a little bit, because like just psychologically, I know at least for me, it would probably cause a lot of turmoil.
I mean, we kind of get that in this book, where like the whole conflict is like Tobias's conflict of like himself and his self-perception versus like the objectification in a philosophical sense, not in a gender studies sense, of how he is seen like by others. And I hope we get more of that, because it would certainly fuck me up. And it seems like it's fucking these kids up, except for Rachel. Rachel doesn't seem to mind being an elefante.
She doesn't. I think she prefers elephantness. And I think actually this is interesting to me, why she prefers being an elephant. I mean, I could be reaching here, but like last book we see Rachel get like harassed on the street, and we know that she is described as being like really pretty, and with that I'm sure comes with some element of pretty privilege, but also like it's gotta be hard. Like she must deal with harassment a lot. And that's gotta make one feel pretty powerless. So it's interesting that she would want to turn into something that's like terrifying and monstrous to other people. Not saying elephants are monstrous, but just like something powerful and huge that has like no ties to like any sort of societal gaze that would impact her normal sense of self. Which is probably why she and Tobias like get along pretty well. Which is probably one of the reasons why they're friends, because I feel like she and Tobias can kind of relate on different levels to this, but like I just see those two things being kind of similar. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, I get exactly what you mean. I think that what was I going to say? I think that like it's sort of this aspect of like, when you're an elephant, you can't really be objectified if you're an elephant. You know, you're just an elephant. But I also think that this whole thing sort of ties into one of the biggest themes we've seen in the book so far, which is that people always want to be something that they aren't. Like you see the kids, you know, several of them feel more free and more powerful whenever they're an animal, as opposed to just being a human. But we've already seen with Tobias that it's not all it's cracked up to be an animal all the time. And we also see this theme with the controllers, who are like voluntary controllers, where it's like these people just want to be stronger, better, more powerful than they probably are in real life. And so people, like this theme of transformation as a coping mechanism seems to be a really, really important one in the series so far. And I hope we build on it more, because I think it's super, super interesting. And especially, I want to see how Cassie sort of feels about this, because she's like the animal girl. Like, she knows all the animals, and she's really good at animal stuff. And I don't know if she would have this same perspective of like, oh, being an animal is great, because she deals with injured animals like every day. That's like her family's job. So I'm really curious to see if this gets talked about in the next book, but I think it is a really important aspect of the series just as a whole.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. Yeah, I'm so curious to see like what other animals they're going to morph into, because like as we've seen so far that each animal kind of like leaves a mark on them psychologically, between nightmares and dreams and just general like grotesque morphing.
Yeah.
So I'm really interested to see like what other kinds of animals they're going to turn into. You know, just thinking the other day. Did we already talk about this? What if they could like turn into a yerk and like?
I think we touched on it.
Did we touch on that? I don't know.
Well, that just comes back to the aspect of like, can they turn into? Because the main through line we've seen of the creatures they can morph into is that none of them have like self-consciousness in like the way that humans or yerks do. Like they don't really think. They have instincts, but as Tobias makes it very clear, they don't have like emotions or thoughts in that way. They just have feelings and needs, and that is all that they are driven on. So I'd be curious to know if it's possible to morph into a conscious being. And this goes back to the question we asked last week, which is like, are they gonna morph into other people?
Yeah.
I would have done that by now. I would have tried that out.
I would have morphed into Tom by now and like, I don't know, infiltrated the yerk base and.
I wouldn't have done that. That seems like suspicious. Like they're gonna know that it's not you. Oh, wait. This brings up a really interesting question. If you were to morph into a conscious being, as we've established, like with our discussions last week, the way that morphing kind of is that it's like two minds in one body. So how would that work if it's two conscious minds in one body?
That's why I want to know if they could morph into a yerk, because what a power play that would be to take over the conscious mind of a being that is like entire existence revolves around taking over the minds of other conscious beings. Power trip.
That would be crazy. What if you?
That would be crazy.
If you morph into a yerk who is already controlling someone? Would you have three minds in one body?
Oh, I don't know. Also, you would have to you would have to get in their brain though. You know?
I know. Yeah, you could turn into an earwig. Just kidding. Those don't actually do anything.
You could like wiggle into their brain, you know?
You could wiggle.
As a yerk.
You could like, because the thing about morphing is, unlike controlling someone like how the yerks do, it's not that you're already taking over a body, it's you're making a new body and then kind of possessing that body, right? So if it was a conscious being, would the mind of that conscious being be replicated when you morph into them? So then would there be two versions of that person standing there? And then what are the moral implications of that? Because who's the real person?
Yeah, I don't know. I hope they do this. What if they morph into like an antholite, you know? Like is that
it's weird.
I don't know.
It's
never mind. No.
No, you're gonna say it.
Okay. Didn't they touch Prince Elfie, the Andalite prince?
They did.
Was that before or after they had the power to morph? Like, do they think,
I don't know.
Think they acquired his DNA without actually knowing it?
I mean, he didn't go into a trance, but would living creatures go into a trance? Because as we've been shown, that's kind of that's like a good mechanism for like escaping. So if possible, could they touch Visser 3, put him in a trance, and then escape?
I don't know. Also, imagine what like morphing into the enemies, like if they morphed into Visser 3, like if his conscious mind still was duplicated and still remained. Imagine like the intel that they could get.
Oh yeah.
Once they morphed back. Damn.
But you would get like a crisis of like, it reminds me of like, not to go back to DS9, but it reminds me of like the DS9 Mirrorverse episodes where it's like, who is the real Visser 3? If like we're using Visser 3 as an example, like if Marco was to morph into Visser 3, who is the real one and who is the fake one? Because they're both now conscious beings who you could argue deserve to live, but now you have two Visser 3s walking around. And also, if you were to morph into if you were to morph into a Yeerk possessing a Andalite body like Visser 3, you would have to morph into two things at once.
Mm-hmm.
Which
I don't know. Could one of the kids morph into the Yeerk and the other one morph into the thing that possessed the other mind? But like, you'd have 4 minds.
You would, but like the thing is,
Inception.
I'm not sure if you were to touch Visser 3's body. I don't know if you would morph into the Andalite or into Visser 3, because the Andalite's mind. But it doesn't come out. The Andalite's mind doesn't come out until Visser 3 leaves the body. And I feel like morphing is established to be not just a biological connection between the two, but also like a telepathic one.
True, but like when you touch something, you're acquiring the DNA of whatever you touch.
That is
true. You're not touching Yeerk. So I think you would only acquire the DNA of the Andalite. The Andalite's mind still might be affected by the Yeerk that it was like previously possessed by, but I don't think you would acquire the DNA of the Yeerk as well. You know what I'm saying?
If you morphed into the Andalite, would you have all the Andalite's memories?
I suppose.
Is that part of the DNA? I don't know anything about science.
I mean, I know very little about science, despite taking human anatomy like 3 times on 3 separate occasions. But I don't know.
No, this discussion is so fascinating. I can't wait to. I want to hear more. I want to hear more about because I think if I'm recalling, there's a cover where an Andalite morphs into a human.
Ooh, let's see it. I gotta pull it up.
So, like, what is the implications of that?
I don't know.
Are you making a new body? Because it has to be based on another person's body, right?
True, but they're morphing from their body into the other body. I know,
but it's not like you're making a completely new original body. You're still basing it 100% off a body that already exists. So it kind of is like possessing their identity, or at the very least, it's like possessing their physical identity.
Okay, so I'm looking at the covers. And peeping ahead. We got one cover where a guy morphs into an Andalite, I think. We have another cover with just an Andalite. Another cover with an Andalite morphing into a cow.
That sounds about right.
And an Andalite morphing into a bird. And an Andalite morphing into, I think, a person in a hazmat suit. And an Andalite morphing into a raccoon.
A raccoon?
A raccoon, excuse me.
Raccoon? Oh, man. It was crazy earlier this year when I had a raccoon in my house.
You did, didn't you? I forgot about that.
I did. I had a raccoon mate. Oh, that poor lady. She was a mom. And she got trapped in our house for like, it was like a week. Mm-hmm. And here's a fun story for all the people out there. There was a morning when my dad woke me up at like 5 a.m. Well, he didn't mean to. He woke me up at 5 a.m. because he woke up and there was our car was speeding backwards down the driveway, and my dad realized, oh, my brother's not here. Oh, Jenny's not driving it. Oh, fuck, someone is stealing our car. So he runs outside, he doesn't catch the thief, but all of this commotion woke up, or no. He goes then downstairs to check if the raccoon is in the cage, which we laid out with food to catch her, and she was. And so this same morning that our car got stolen, my dad, like, picks up the cage, tries to take it outside, then, like, halfway up the stairs, the cage breaks, she escapes, and all of this happened before 6 a.m. Which I thought is hilarious.
I love that for you. Truly.
We did get the car back, though.
That's great. I'm happy for you.
He's all fixed up. His name is Gustav.
I remember. Interesting.
Yeah. Anyway.
Okay, I'm so excited to read
riveting discussion.
Read the next books.
Yeah.
So the next one is Cassie. I'm very excited.
Yes. I'm super excited. So out of 10, what would you rate the encounter?
Okay. I would rate the encounter maybe like a 5.5.
I was going to say the exact same thing. Yeah. I was going to say the exact, like 5.5 out of 10. It's not,
6 if I was feeling generous, but...
I'm not feeling generous. It's not, it's not bad, right? It's not actively bad. It's just a little boring sometimes.
It was a little boring, I have to say. I mean, I do like that I got what I wanted. We got, like, Tobias's psychological state, which is always good to see. Mm-hmm. Check in on our boy, but
it sounded like you said chicken on our boy. Is it marinated?
I'm gonna force strangle you, like, through our Zoom call.
Okay, I think that might be code. Once Brynne starts getting physical with physical threats, I think that might be code. We've been going for too long. Yeah, I also gave it a 5.5 out of 10, because, like, I wanted more stuff to happen. It was kind of similar to the last book, where it got interesting in the last half, but I don't want this to seem like I don't support character, like, development and character analysis and just exploring, like, people, but I was bored. I'm sorry. I was bored.
You're like, I wish to be entertained.
I am a Roman emperor at the Colosseum. You will entertain me, book. Oh, God damn it.
Okay.
All right.
So yeah, 5.5 out of 10. Could have been better, but it wasn't bad. I did enjoy it, at least in the last half particularly. The beginning was stupid, but the ending was great. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else to add? I don't.
Well, I was just going to add that if you, the audience, would like to tell us how you felt, you can DM us on Twitter at Anamorphin. That's ANIMORPHIN, Anamorphin. You can also shoot us an email if you have any longer thoughts at the Animorphs Book Club at gmail.com. And we look forward to hearing your thoughts. We like hearing what people think.
Yeah.
Again, no spoilers, please. If you spoil it, we will break your kneecaps. Thank you.
Me.
Yeah, it'll be Brynne. Brynne will break your kneecaps. I'm a coward.
Don't forget it. Yeah. All right. I don't think I have anything else to add.
I don't think I do. Oh, okay. I did want to add one more thing, and I only thought of it this morning after I had a dream. I think I'm starting to dream like a morph thing. 'Cause
what?
Wait. Because when I dream, sometimes it started to happen where I am two people at once. Like last night, I dreamed that I was Jennie, but I was also my D&D character at the same time. In the same way, Tobias is a boy and a bird. What did you just say?
I said, okay, Harry Potter, you gotta learn how to shut off your mind.
I have ADHD, Brynne.
Right.
I can't do that. But I just wanted to mention that because I thought it was really weird.
That is really weird. Hopefully you don't have any dreams where you're a vole eating the carcass of a dead
Oh, God.
cat.
That's unpleasant.
That was terrible.
Not great. Okay, now I've said all I needed to say.
Okay.
All right. Well, I guess that's about it.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, we will see you next time when we read book 4. I need to... Book 4, which is...
The Message.
The Message. Ooh, The Message. And we will see you next time on the Animals Book Club. I threw you for a loop there.